What's up, Taiwan? I'm Reece with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Young voters have been dubbed the wild card of Taiwan's upcoming elections, which is why some vice presidential candidates have been working to win over students. Joyce Tseng brings us the latest from the campaign trail.
Making an appeal to Taiwan's young voters, the ruling Democratic Progressive Party's vice presidential hopeful Bi Kim-hsiao traveled to a central Taiwan university to speak with students about what it means to be a leader at the highest levels of society.
我们每一次想要进步，一定是有人高兴，有人不高兴，所以每个执政者都要有很强的抗压性。
Young voters will be key in shaping the results of January's elections. In the last presidential polls in 2020, over 70% of votes came from those below the age of 40, a critical group for VP candidates to help their party's frontman sway. The main opposition pick for VP, the Kuomintang Party's Zhao Shaokang, also worked to draw students, here at a forum in an elite Taipei university. Despite his party favoring more exchanges between Taiwan and China, Zhao lamented Beijing's grip over Hong Kong.
我认为北京要善待香港，你这样对待香港，凭良心说，我都不愿意去香港，我也不愿意去大陆。
But some analysts say that by focusing on geopolitics, candidates may be missing the mark.
Cost of living issues is the #1 concern for especially younger generation in Taiwan. And I would say regarding DPP, KMT, and TPP, honestly, frankly, I think TPP has a momentum.
The TPP, Taiwan People's Party, is fielding potential dark horse duo Ko Wen-je, a former Taipei mayor, and former business exec Cynthia Wu as his running mate. In a democracy long dominated by two parties, they're seen as an attractive third option by some voters. But a recent scuffle at the COP28 summit has caused the TPP some trouble. Wu was turned away after showing up at the Dubai conference and publicizing it, an apparent faux pas given Beijing bars Taiwan from officially attending such international forums. Wu's chosen to blame the foreign ministry for the blunder, despite forewarning she would likely not be allowed in.
这次去的感觉就是像外交部在开旅行社，只是在一些台湾 climate action 的这种光板旁边拍照。
But parties will soon have to put such external noise aside, as the candidates for president and VP will face off in televised debates next week. And many Taiwanese voters, especially young ones, are due to tune in to see if they can address issues closer to home. Patrick Chen and Joyce Sen for TaiwanPlus.
A well-known Diabolo coach has pleaded guilty to espionage in a Taipei court. Lu Jixian and others were charged with accepting money from China to recruit Taiwanese military personnel into a spy ring. Lu admitted to violating the National Security Act by facilitating the sale of Taiwanese military secrets to China. He faces a maximum sentence of 7 years in prison and a fine of over $3 million. A new COVID-19 variant is keeping medical experts on their toes. Cases of the JN1 strain are quickly growing across the globe. The World Health Organization has listed it as a variant of interest. In Taiwan, JN1 cases have not yet seen a significant rise, but medical experts are warning that it may become the country's next dominant strain. JN1 cases are expected to peak around mid to late January.
In Taiwan, JN1 still accounts for less than 5% of the new cases locally. As it's spreading more rapidly in other countries, we expect there is a potential of JN1 to become the dominant strain in the upcoming months, posing winter outbreaks.
A mountaintop forest in Taiwan's southeast has been razed. But as Laurel Stewart reports, it doesn't just pose a problem for the environment, it's also an issue for the indigenous people who own the land.
Amid thick forest, a barren scar. Conservation groups have discovered another swath of felled trees here in Taiwan's southeastern county of Taitung. It comes after 13 hectares of forest on a neighbouring mountain were found razed in May this year. The area has a dense population of trees belonging to the beech family, numbering 14 different species. Experts say these trees are an important part of Taiwan's ecosystem. But here, as in May, the trees were felled to make room to plant ginger. This violates soil and water conservation laws.
平坦的一个山头它把它全部砍光，而且种姜它这个区域呢，应该也是在可朵科森林的生长范围啦。
This case of illegal logging happened on Indigenous land, which is why it took longer for it to be reported. The land is under the jurisdiction of Darren Township. Officials there say the land was approved for a project, but those who cleared the trees went far beyond what was permitted. Local officials have stopped the logging and asked the county government to impose fines. But for local Indigenous people, it's another example of how the government is eroding their rights to the land. Indigenous scholar Awi Mona says the government and businesses have been slowly commercializing the land.
They see the land as a commodity. It can be make profits through the exchange, through the land construction, through the land development. So they can pour huge money into the mountainous area, change into the recreation area, change into the tourist spot, change into the laws for all those developments are like money driven.
Awi Mona also says that although Indigenous communities govern their land according to their own customary laws, Taiwan's state laws don't recognize or protect Indigenous rights to their land. It means appropriation of their land could continue, affecting not only the natural environment, but also the people who live there. Ryan Wu and Laurel Stewart for TaiwanPlus.
Residents in one of Taiwan's most rapidly shrinking towns are trying to revive the area. Tiffany Wong reports.
This is Dawu Township on Taiwan's southeastern coast, home to lush forests and, every year, fewer people. But Pan Meiyuan has gone against the tide, choosing to return to Dawu after years as a broadcaster in Taipei. Now back home, she's opened a bookstore in her parents' hotel.
我小时候刚好是经历这边大武山脉的伐木时代，各种的味道、各色的口音、各种的肤色。其实我小时候就很喜欢把它们当成一本一本的书，故事书。
And to keep the town's stories alive, Pan is using her broadcast experience to keep residents connected, including the area's indigenous Taiwan. She hosts a program on the town's development on the local indigenous radio station. Dawu is one of over 100 towns that the country's National Development Council has said are at risk of being abandoned, having lost a third of its population since the 1980s, with less than 6,000 residents left. To attract more people, guided tours of the area's hidden gems are being offered by those who want to see their hometown revitalized.
祝福我们这个地方，祝福我们故乡能够更好、更美好，然后年轻人能够回来，就像美元这样子。
Population decline is an issue that's increasingly affecting all aspects of life in Taiwan, from elderly care to upholding traditions, with the burden falling heavily on younger generations. But with the help of these returnees, the future of Dawu is no longer as bleak, as they create more stories to pass on to the next generation. Dolphine Chen and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, take in some holiday cheer with this year's Tokyo Christmas decorations. I'm Reece, happy holidays and see you next time.